Ladies of Reddit, what's the best way a guy has asked you out? When I was a server, I had a handsome gentleman ask me a couple questions about the specials, and then he proceeded to say, "So I can have anything I want on this menu?" "Of course you can," I replied. He dropped the menu flat to the floor and said, "Would you stand on this for me?" I was flattered. It was witty, made me blush, but I'm gay, so he ended up having the beef dip. Not my story, but a friend of my family. He was stuck in gridlock LA traffic on the Santa Monica freeway. Being close to losing his mind, he decided to roll down his window and start chatting with the woman in the car next to him. They hit it off, and he asked if she wanted to get off at the next exit and get some coffee. They've been married for about 8 years now. Close bracket. I'm probably way too late, but I'll share anyway. I was driving around town after work, windows down. It was a gorgeous October day. I noticed two guys in a car next to me, one in civilian clothes, the other in his Abu's Air Force uniform. I thought it was adorable that they were together because Don't Ask, Don't Tell had just been repealed. I kept driving. A friend prank called me and asked if I had any condoms, so I was laughing. We hung up, and I was singing along to a Christina Aguilera song, "I Hate Boys." I stopped at an intersection and glanced in my rear view and saw a man running, full tilt, toward my car. I was so shocked that I didn't think to lock my doors or anything. He got to my car, threw a slip of paper in, and ran off. It happened so fast I didn't even really see him. The slip of paper was a receipt from some dinosaur park in Texas, and on the back was a scribbled phone number, all bumpy from being written on a car dashboard in a rush. I'm pretty sure I sat in my car with my mouth agape for like 5 minutes. I nearly missed the light when it turned green. I watched as the guy drove past me. It was the man in civilian clothes that I thought was gay. I went home and tried to work up the courage to call him, but I chickened out and texted him instead. I said, "Is this the crazy ducker that threw his phone number into my car?" And he replied, "Is this the crazy girl who is texting me back?" We were inseparable after that. We've been married for 2 years now. He sent me a text along the lines of, "I had a good time talking to you when we met the other night. Do you want to go out for a drink sometime?" Upfront and straightforward is honestly way better than some over-the-top romantic gesture, at least for a first date. When you've been dating for a while, sure, get fancy, but most girls would rather know that you're interested in what you want than to have their apartments filled with flowers and be serenaded on the accordion. A guy I dated in high school knew I painted a lot, so he asked me if I could paint his mom something for Mother's Day, bouquet of flowers or something Hallmark Y. He then told me he already got a frame that he and his brother personalized, so he needed the painting to be a specific size. He then gave me the cardstock one day after school, and when I started to paint, I realized that he wrote, "Will you be mine?" in white crayon, causing it to show through the watercolors. I work at a little popcorn stand once a week. Every week, this attractive witty man came in to buy popcorn and flirt with me. Every week, he left a lottery ticket in the tip jar with his phone number on it. One time he got up the courage to say, "If you don't win this week, how about I take you out to a nice dinner to make up for it?" I thought it was very sweet, and we had already had fun flirting and joking around. Too bad it turns out he was married. It's kind of sad that you have to inquire about these things before you accept a date. He was not a midget or a clown or in his 80s. Close bracket. I had stayed over at his house. We were best friends, and in the morning he said, "Let's go to Liverpool." We ran to the train station, got on the first train there, went to the Tate, and laughed at all the shit art. I swear it was like some cliché indie film. Then we went to a top restaurant, laughed at all his cheesy jokes. Then we had coffee on the way back on the train. When we got back to his, he told me he wanted me to be his girlfriend. We had already been cuddling and holding hands all day, and it was lovely. We went to bed and cuddled all night, revealing our mutual feelings. Totally natural progression from friend zone to partners. Hope that gives you some ideas. Well, a group of my friends decided to go out after work for some drinks, and he was going, so I asked him what time we were all meeting. He told me 5:30, so I arrived fashionably late at 5:45, only to find him at the table, alone. I walked up and sat down, thinking everyone else was running late. We start chatting and quickly realize we have a lot of similarities, and I'm hooked. Around 7 PM everyone else starts arriving, and I'm curious as to why they were so late. They weren't. He told me in earlier time so he could spend time with me and get to know me. That night we kissed, and it has been sweet ever since. Or I never get to tell this story. Thanks Reddit and op. Went to lunch with this guy at a local pub. We decided after lunch to walk around the neighborhood. I really had to pee, and we were outside this other restaurant I really like, so we went in. After a few drinks, he went to the bathroom, and I paid for the drinks. He asked for the check when he got back, but the waiter just brought my receipt to sign. He said he's never had a girl buy his drinks, and what would his mother say to this? The restaurant gives a postcard with the tab, so I handed it over and told him to write her about it. He handed it back after writing, "Mom, this girl just bought my drinks. Not sure how to feel about this. Maybe I should take her to dinner this weekend." I thought it was cute, and I said yes. I once wore sweatpants and a baggy shirt to a local bar after making a last-minute decision to go out. This dude comes up to me and this was the exchange. "Why the f are you wearing sweatpants to a bar? I don't really care how I look at this moment. Why do you care so much?" "Well, it looks like you're not even trying." "I'm not. Please leave me alone." "Wait. Can I have your number?" So you thought the best way to get a girl's number was to insult her first? I mean, you're talking to me right now, right? He ended up getting my number. Brilliant. Similar to what a lot of people are saying regarding honesty and being straightforward, my current boyfriend asked me out by saying, verbatim, "Well, I told a girl at work you were my girlfriend, so why'd I say, be my girlfriend?" Do it. It's important to note that by this point we had been seeing each other for a bit and had developed an understanding of the other's humor, so it was actually the perfect approach. I was once stuck in really bad rush hour traffic on 95 when I heard a siren go off and a booming voice from a loudspeaker state "female in the gold Honda." I immediately started freaking out because I thought a cop was pulling me over with the loudspeaker and really had no idea what I could have possibly done. So I kind of feigned ignorance and hoped it was all in my head. 10 seconds later I hear "beautiful female in the gold Honda." Wait, what? I turn around to see an ambulance about 2 cars back to the right of me desperately trying to get my attention. The man driving the ambulance ended up asking me out over his loudspeaker. It was definitely the best way I had ever been asked out, just because it was so goddamn random and hilarious. I'm not a lady, but once I got asked out on Miss Base by some girl who said I'm friends with someone who used to babysit your younger brother. She had seen me in a metal club and asked her friend about me because he said he knew me. She stalked me for a while before sending that message. Found out later she was going to the club loads more often to see if I went. I was like 16 and single, so I was totally up for it. Dated for a year or so. Things were crazy as duck and we broke up in a fit of rage, which resulted in her and her friend cornering me in her flat while they both screamed at me, and I grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed it in her face, jumped out of the 2nd floor balcony of the building and ran for the hills. TL. Drive. Met a girl online, was crazy for me and also crazy. Sprayed her in the face with a powder fire extinguisher and jumped out a window to escape. Not that it's absolutely the best way any guy should ask a girl out, but it was endearing to me. We'd been going on dates regularly for a couple months. I don't think we had ever actually talked on the phone, just texting and whatnot. One night I was out with some girlfriends and got a text from him. "Hey, can you talk on the phone really quick?" "Yeah, sure. Everything okay?" He called, and I could immediately sense how nervous he was on the phone. He started off asking how my night was going and just generally leading some silly small talk. He told me he was a little drunk, and after a minute or so, was there something you needed?" "Oh yeah. I just, UHH. I went TED Talk now if I our old majoril friend. So cute. So nervous. I, shamefully, didn't tell him yes immediately. It wasn't for lack of interest. I'm not a confident person and wanted to make sure he was absolutely positive he wanted me like that. But I was so flattered that he felt like he had to get a little tipsy in order to officially ask me out. Anyway, here we are almost 2 years later, living together in an apartment. I'm about to make my first skydive with him, and I love him more and more each day. If you see this, I love you so much, and I'm so happy you are mine. I wouldn't say this was the best way, but it was most definitely memorable. A group of friends and I had gone to trivia at the campus bar, and after a few drinks and some great laughs it was time to head home. There was a guy that I had been hanging out with, but nothing too serious. He walked me home, and as we got to my place he stops and starts acting a bit odd. He finally says, so I've never really done this before, but do you want to go out sometime? Obviously I was most excited and asked what he had in mind. His response was pure goldo, I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. And that was the end. I told him to tell me when and where, and that I would most definitely be there. We ended up going to a nice place in the downtown area and went for a long walk by the river. I can't really complain. Got any similar stories? Leave it in the comments below.